Today is Saturday, September 21st, 2024. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 47, Week 1.
I got bummed after watching the episode again.
Okay. Why?
Just because all the stuff that happened with Andy. It's like, it's tainted the first episode. And that is just kind of kept running through my head. Because we watched and then we recorded our reaction, recap, and then we watched again. Because it's Survivor. We love Survivor.
We were too tired to do anything else. So.
And yeah,
so
sometimes.
We watched it again.
Yes, we were so Survivor thirsty, we watched again the same night. And it left me with that sort of malaise feeling afterwards.
It just made me sad and concerned about him.
Yeah, and it's like,
what it might do for him to stay.
Yes, and that he's basically going to be a virus that infects the tribe, and here we go with another tribe.
I don't know about that.
Anyway, that was my Andy-like runaway thoughts, I guess. And then I started working on the feedback that was coming in, working on the audios, and it's like, okay, this is all right. I feel better.
Yes.
And sorry, I was looking forward. This is where I'm going with this. I was looking forward to doing the listener feedback show today and getting the perspective from all the different super fans and their different ways of looking at it, or just checking in to say hi. Yeah. All that as we get the season rolling again in our reaction analysis podcast here that's been going since February of 2005. This is the 38th season that we've covered, and we're in the 1400s episode-wise for us.
Wow.
Yeah, wild, huh?
Goodness.
A little bit of perspective.
Yeah, for some random idea Stacy had, we should do a podcast. A what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is a podcast?
All that, yes.
I'm like, sure, honey, if that's what you would like to do, sure, let's do it.
We were essentially doing it after every episode that we watched, or while we were watching.
We just weren't recording.
Yeah.
We were just talking.
Yeah. When we started with season 2, we missed out on season 1.
Well, I
weren't
thought,
aware of it.
Okay, that's a weird thing to want to do, but nobody will listen anyway, and so...
And here we are. Yeah. How many people sent in feedback for today? How many do we have for the listener
24.
24. Awesome. 38 seasons in, still going strong, still enjoying the show and all its different machinations, all the different changes, the ups, the downs, the sideways moves that production makes, all of it. And there's definitely some moves they've made this season that I was really happy about. So gotta give them kudos for those as we go too. Well, that's my background. That's what I was thinking heading into this. That's why I was looking forward to doing this. Do we need to say anything else before we get going?
Just that you look really nice. Your shirt looks so pretty.
I'm in an orange.
On you?
Is it orange?
Yeah, it's bright orange.
Orange T-shirt. So when I get cast on Survivor,
orange, but...
I'll need to be on the orange tribe, not the red tribe. That's what you're saying.
My little pumpkin.
Definitely pumpkin shaped. Oh, let's get going. But first up, we got a call from Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Loved it, baby. A 2-hour epic premiere. So now we have one goof up. It looks like we're casting again. But I'm going to let out a great big woo! And my goodness, I can't believe John was voted out. Now, I know we were kind of negative with him with the jab, and Probst, I know, really loved him. He teased, he compared him to Mike White and Lisa Welch, who as a celebrity that could be a big storyteller or a big character. And what is John, the first person voted out because he's seen as a great strategist? But my goodness, that Andy long-haired dude better wake up. I think he's the new Bhanu. No, not that Keyshawn guy that this guy was a mishap with casting, acting like a quitter. It felt like exposing his alliance. What does this guy offer? Then he gave up during the challenge, too. They're thinking they could keep him as someone maybe they could control and could help him win challenges. I don't dig it, though, guys. I don't dig it at all. I mean, I like the other members of the team, though. Sierra, Sam, Rachel seems all right, and Annika, though Annika a bit of a choke as a leader. We know how that can pan out. That could make or break you. And then the red team there, Keyshawn, I was surprised with him. We saw a little of Genevieve, Isha, however you say her name. I was surprised with her after she came back from losing that challenge there with TK there. But yet her team seemed to come through with her there. She wasn't seen as a weakness. If anything, my boy Rome, he better watch out now. You know, I love that he's playing aggressive, trying to find this idol, beware advantages. But look, when you have your whole tribe looking for you and following you, bad vibes. Unless he has the idol before that team goes to tribal, he's in deep jeopardy for that team. Blue there, Gabe, him too. Now, right now, I was surprised him and Sue turned into quite a duo, with Sue being a lookout. Now, to his credit, he found the idol that's good for 3 tribals and chose not to find the longer one for the end, which that, in a way, I can't say that I blame him, because he was going to have more of a target on his back, and it looks like, based on the edit, I think they see it, but they don't see him as much of a threat as Rome is with the red team, because it looks like Gabe got some alliances, but Kyle, I know, is a player. Caroline, although Caroline, I think, was with Gabe and Sue, and then the other ones there, TK, Tiana. We'll see how it goes. I thought red was going to be the weaker team. Glad they won, because that's my favorite color. I'm optimistic here, but yellow better watch out. Now, I don't know what Andy's got to offer. We'll see. And I want to hear what Probst thinks in his podcast. And John must have been as shocked as anyone, too. I got to hear some of his interviews with Mike Bloom and Dalton. All right, but it was a solid episode nevertheless. Take care. Woo.
Whoa. Thanks, Pete. Yeah, he didn't have a lot to say in the exit interviews. Just a little more perspective on how things went down and how his options dwindled after that loss and Andy's self-destruct. So he could tell that the target was on him, and it was really hard where they were all saying, let's put the target on Andy. We're going to vote Andy out. And so it was hard for him to have a conversation about trying to get the target onto Andy when they were decoying Andy because they were targeting John. He just felt like he had no options. He tried, but he was an outlier in his tribe, obviously, and the deck was stacked against him for sure. He didn't have the same benefit that Sue did on her tribe, where people came to her. What didn't seem to be so much what she did was just a couple of others including her and reaching out to her.
Well, and the thing seemed to be is they didn't value him as a physical competitor.
No.
That's really what it was about.
He did pretty good physically in that marooning challenge. Yeah. So
I thought he did way better than I expected him to. I kind of liked him. I was sad to see him go.
Yeah, if we're going to talk some more about that as we go along. That was an interesting twist. Good deal. Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got an email from Sheryl in Vancouver Island, British Columbia.
Hi, Joanna Stacy. I'm a long-time listener to your podcast and love it. Well, thank you. I've never played the game, but look forward to your post-game broadcast and everyone checking in on Saturday. You triple my Survivor fun.
Awesome.
All right. Cheers and take care. All right.
Sheryl.
Thanks, Sheryl. It's lovely to hear from you.
Yeah, good stuff. We love that checking in kind of thing, too.
To know people are out there.
We have no idea that you're there, that you're listening, and unless you check in. We don't get any stats. There's nothing that really gives a clue about you the way the podcasting works. and the way that we distributed it, at least.
Yeah, so it's always
We
nice
appreciate
to
that.
hear. All right, up next we have a call from Christiana.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Christiana from Massachusetts calling in with my feedback for the season 47 premiere. I will just start off with, I am biased. I am a huge Jon Lovett fan. I love his podcast and the work that his media company does and have listened to them since their founding in 2016. So I was really looking forward to seeing him on the season. And he does have a very specific form of like sarcasm and self-deprecating humor that if you don't know how he talks, I could see how that could be off-putting. But I really enjoyed him for his one spectacular episode or whatever he called it. And I'm bummed he won't be back, but it kind of makes it more neutral for me to watch. I don't have any dog in the fight at this point. He obviously is very smart and clearly strategic, so I understand why his tribe opted to vote him out versus Andy. But I totally agree that Andy is a loose cannon, clearly insecure, which is so unfortunate for him. But in the game of Survivor, like, you can't be dealing with those distractions. I mean, I would have voted him out over John, like taking out my personal enjoyment of John, just like if I were a contestant in the game who knew nothing about him. Which, speaking of, I was wondering if he was going to lie about what he did, because he is pretty well known, I would say, particularly among millennials and like older Gen Z, which is this cast. But hilariously, they didn't know who he was, which I thought was very funny. So I thought it would be easy for him to get caught in a lie if he lied about who he was, what he's done in the past, and what he does now. He is quite wealthy from what he does. And so I think that's why he was honest with it. And like you said, from what we saw, he was kind of vague about his speech writing history, but maybe he wasn't and they just cut it out. We don't know. But yeah, I just thought it would be pretty easy to get caught in that lie. So he probably thought about like how he was going to present himself on the show. Overall, I really liked the premiere. I liked the cast. Definitely a better start than 46. I really, to this day, I was talking with my friend who also watches Survivor and is also a Lovett fan, that we were just like how bad the 46 cast was. Not to be, super negative, but I already feel more hopeful for this season.
Yes.
People who know what they're doing, people who are stable enough to be there and compete for the most part. So I am looking forward to the season. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thanks, Christiana. Next up, we got an email from Tara in New York. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy we're all finally back for season 47. I can't wait to hear from everyone again. I really love the premiere and think it competes with some of the best. The first challenge was really fun. I wondered if Sue was trying to replicate Maria's debut last season as she hoisted that puzzle piece back through the woods. She was impressive for sure. I like the scavenger hunt challenge as a replacement for Sweat versus Savvy too. It's far better than further weakening the losing tribes by exhausting their strongest. Yeah, that's a great observation. Strongest players, like in the Sweat challenge. Those boats in the immunity challenge seemed destined to create craziness, and they did for sure. Yeah, Probe said they hadn't had that happen when they were testing, but they, of course, loved it when it went down that way.
Yep.
I really love this cast so far. In my Jabik feedback, I mentioned that I liked Aisha, Sue, Kyle, John, and Andy. I was leaning towards picking Aisha as my USB, but funny enough, ended up going with my initial gut reaction to the players and went with Teenie. I'm really happy with my choice and think she's doing great. She does seem to be doing well. She's doing better than I expected. She has seemingly managed to befriend everyone on her tribe and team up with Aisha like she mentioned in her interviews. I'm not sure that's a team yet, though. That might come back to bite her. Something seemed a little off with that. Also, because she really wanted to work with Aisha and Keyshawn, I actually think she handled Genevieve well without shutting her down. So I guess I'm pushing back a bit on Stacy. She's in a great spot, and I like her even more after the first episode. Yeah. I'm surprised to like Genevieve more than I thought, but Rome may be her downfall. I said in Jabik he'd be like Q on steroids, but he reminds me of Tony on steroids instead, without the humor or strategy to back up his crazy runs through the jungle. This whole tribe is great fun so far. We didn't see much of the blue tribe, but I do like Kyle. On the other hand, Gabe gave off negative vibes right away. Did anyone else notice his body language right off while they met Jeff? Arms crossed firmly and the knuckle cracking, creepy. It could be scary to see him play now that he has that idol in his pocket. I imagine everyone will be discussing Andy and the meltdown. I really empathize with him because I have anxiety and it can be a nightmare. That said, I think the tribe is really going to regret their decision to vote out John. Andy may become a new version of Bhanu, begging for attention and bringing his tribe down. John seems like he could have been a good player, too, if given the chance. He could have been a fun narrator as well, so I'm sad he's gone. That's it for me. There's so much more to discuss, so I can't wait to hear from everyone. Can't wait to hear predictions for next week. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, as always. Thank you, Tara. Good job.
You know, I think that if the tribe now knows that Andy needs attention, you know, by him saying, well, they acknowledged John when he cut the coconut.
Nobody cheered for me when I cracked the coconut.
I think they're going to try to give him what he needs. Now that they know what he needs, that'll be part of managing him. I don't think it's going to work that well, but I think that they think they can manage him because they know what he needs.
I don't know if Annika and Rachel are going to do that, though.
No, but I think Sam will.
Sam may play to it because Sam sees himself as the glue, so he will likely go out of the way to try to keep him attached. Yeah.
So, and it probably means more coming from Sam.
Maybe.
Anyway, we'll see.
Yep. Thanks again, Tara. Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanne, Stacy, and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in. I hope that everyone enjoyed episode 1. For me, I thought this is actually one of the better season premieres in recent history, and I really enjoyed it. Although I still had a little bit of eye rolling, it seems like every season nowadays has somebody right off the hop who it seems like maybe shouldn't necessarily be there. And in this season, of course, that's Andy. And I feel bad for Andy, but I don't see things getting any easier for him. And seeing him struggle so much makes me wish that we had another season of blue collar, white collar, and no collar. That way we can see a group of really competent, hard-nosed, and confident Survivor players. I think that'd be really satisfying. For players that impressed me this episode, I thought my USB Tiana looked pretty good and is fitting in well with her tribe. Kyle is what we all expect him to be, and I think he'll definitely go deep in the game, but I worry about him being too nice of a guy and getting eaten up, though, ultimately. For him to overcome such adversity in his life and be the kind of person he is nothing short of amazing. I thought Sierra looked really good this episode. I was so close to picking her for my USB, and for those that did, I think she is a really good pick. I wasn't all that sad to see John go. I was a bit surprised how much hype he was generating for how supposedly famous he was. I never heard of his podcast, and I don't really care to. He was a good speaker and narrator, but like with all the pauses, he made the show feel kind of a little bit phony. And Jeff continually going to him for his thoughts. I'd rather hear someone make off-the-cuff remarks without digging deep into their lexicon like it's a presidential address, so not sad to see him go. So for next week, I have to imagine there's a good chance that we see Yellow struggle again. And if they do, I can't see them giving Andy another pass. There's always a small chance that a player like Andy could rebound a la David Wright, but I don't see that happening, especially given the preview for next week. So for now, I think I'll have Andy as my vote off, although I could definitely see Rome going home if his tribe goes to tribal council. I'm very curious how things are going to play out between TK and Gabe. I think Gabe dug himself a deeper hole by half letting TK in on the idol fine, but not letting him fully in. We'll see if he comes to regret that. He could have played it off that he literally just found the clues, not that he was hiding it from anyone in particular, including him. Say something like, oh, hey, bro, I just found this clue. It told me to come here. I'm so glad it was you that stumbled upon me. We really need this idol, or something like that. I think he could have played a lot better. But anyway, I look forward to hearing everyone else's predictions for next week, and that's it for me. You guys just take care.
Awesome. Thanks, Robert. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling from Maine with my feedback for week 1 of Survivor season 47. Blue team, still my favorite. Always love the color blue. Always going to be my favorite team. And I really, really like all the players. I like how everyone was gravitating towards Sue, mostly because as a woman who's 57, I would love to play the game Survivor. And I would hope that I would be accepted by all the young people to crown me as their leader. No, I really like Sue. I liked how everybody was coming up to her and saying, yeah, I want to be your number one. That must feel great on day 1. Caroline is so sweet. Gabe seemed equally sweet. Of course, I love Tiana, made her my USB. I think she really has what it takes to go very far, as does Kyle, as does Sue. This is just a great, solid team. And I also very much enjoyed TK. He was really good. Red team, forced to be reckoned with. Asia, even though I've listened to Rob Has a Podcast, don't remember Asia on it. Is that weird? But she's a great player. She absolutely really did her homework and knows what she's doing. I thought she was wonderful. I liked Teeny very much, too. I thought she was completely a force to be reckoned happened with. Here's my question about Teeny, though. Yeah, everybody's getting along so well with her, and she has a great personality, but is it too much, too soon, too hard, too fast? Will people say, oh, she's just too likable? I did appreciate that she resonates with Asia so much and she wanted to save a spot for her, but I do agree with Stacy that this early in the game, you just say yes, and then you do what you got to do behind the scenes. I think Teeny's amazing, but is she too try hard? And that was exactly what I have written down under her picture based on the Judge a Book by its cover episode that you guys did. The question I was left with was, is Teeny going to be too try hard? I really liked her very, very much. I didn't really get too much of a read on Christian Rome or Saul, just first episode, but Teeny and Asia really stood out for me on the red team. On the yellow team, Andy. Breakdown on television, first day. Totally losing all your bananas. That was painful to watch. That was really painful to watch. You left us with your feedback. Would you have, had we been in the ones casting the votes, would we have voted off Andy or John? I would have voted off Andy. I would have stayed with the more solid player. And I say this even though John was my vote off for this episode, but I really didn't want to see him go. I thought it should have been Andy. Andy had a total meltdown. It was hard to watch. I very much like Rachel and Sierra. She's so pretty. And Sam on that team as well. Great, solid first episode. No complaints. Everybody seemed personable and a great cast. And I'm really happy it's back. And that's all I got for today. Y'all have a great weekend. I'm going to spend some time in Bahama tomorrow. I got 2 weeks left here, and then I go back to Northern California. And as always, thank you, Joanne and Stacy, for everything you do for us.
Thank you, Rebecca. Good job. Next up, we got an email from Liam in New York.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Unlike you two, I was very excited to see John Lovett on Survivor going into the season. With his deep political experience, I thought he could go far. When Stacy dismissed him on Jabik, I was ready to write at the end of the season to tell you how wrong you were. Mm-hmm. Well, how wrong I was and how right you were, Stacy. John isn't just a mere podcaster. He's a huge deal. After working as Obama's principal speechwriter, he founded a media company, and his podcast, Pod Save America, is the 8th most popular on Apple with a few million weekly downloads.
Wow.
That is a big deal. But
yeah, it is.
I didn't know him, so...
No.
He might be great at running a media company, but proved very weak at Survivor. He blew a huge chance to save himself after Andy told him he wanted to vote off Annika. All John had to do was share this info with Annika, and John would have saved himself for that first round of voting. Regardless of whether I hoped John would stick around, what was the Gada tribe thinking in keeping Andy over John? They must have forgotten the last couple of seasons and what happens when you keep an emotionally unstable player around. As for how unstable Andy is on the show, I worry about his emotional health after the season airs, after he sees how people talk about him during their confessionals. Yeah. There's going to be a lot more Andy bashing in confessionals during the coming weeks if Andy manages to hang on. Okay, that's it for now. Looking forward to hearing the rest of the community's feedback. All right, thanks, Liam.
Yeah, we're already hearing bashing from Annika in the next on Survivor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the needy boyfriend vibe or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it was. Okay.
Yeah, it's just going to get rougher, and I don't think Andy has the tools to recover. I don't think he has the wherewithal to recover like we saw David Wright recover.
Hopefully, the saving grace is that he says he has a strong community at home.
Yes.
That he has a lot of support.
Yeah, to help him when he gets back.
And he's gonna need that,
and
I think.
The Survivor production psychology teams there too. Yes. We've heard that they're
available long after it's over.
They're over. Yeah, the seasons
they're still
are over.
available to them.
Yeah, because some people need help a long time afterwards.
Yes, they do.
Yep, it does a number on you. Good stuff. Thanks, Liam. Next up, we got a call from Dustin.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. It's Dustin from Vietnam. And I wanted to voice a concern that I have about the show after watching the first episode. So it was a good episode, but we saw something which I think we sort of saw the same thing with Bhanu last season during this episode, which is that we saw what many would consider the weakest player on the tribe being kept around even after the first tribal council as a sort of shield for the next few tribal councils. If that develops into a trend, it could be really bad news for the show. In the past few seasons, we've already seen a trend develop of the strongest players being kept around during the post-merge as meat shields, which isn't as concerning because at least it produces good TV. The stronger players are usually fun to watch. But if we're going to be keeping the weaker players around at the start of every season, or episodes 2, 3, 4 of last season were really rough because Bhanu was being kept around. And I'm really hoping that will not repeat this season and, God forbid, in the future as well. That's all I wanted to say. I had some other thoughts about the episode. Again, I thought it was great, but I wanted to hear your thoughts about this issue.
Thanks, Dustin. Yeah, I think the term they're using, just like they did last season, was smokescreen. Not just as a shield like the meat shield, but they used that weak, dysfunctional player as a smokescreen to hide their strategies behind, to hide their tactics. This is the obvious vote off. This is the obvious vote off. From that perspective. So it's a variation on that meat shield kind of idea, but yes. And I guess we can't blame them for taking advantage of that's there, but it certainly doesn't meet Prope's criteria for fun, although it probably will yield, as did the premiere, some more TV moments. They're just not fun, in my opinion, at least. So I think they will continue to cast with that in mind and that being okay. I think they probably got exactly what they wanted in terms of TV moments out of Andy. Next up, we got a call from Anderson.
Hey, Joanne, Stacey, this is Anderson from North Carolina with my feedback for Survivor 47 Week 1. Woo! All right, some thoughts on the episode. I think Andy is a lot less than I expected him to be. And my USB Sam is doing a really good job, staying under the radar and in control of the tribe. I don't care that John got voted out. I really thought that it was going to be between Andy and John. That John would vote Andy. But yeah, I guess Sam played John. Next show on Survivor. So it looks like Andy found an idol. Roman is driving everybody crazy. Everybody finds out Gabe has an idol. And I think, actually, the Blue Tribe might lose next. I think I'm going to say Yellow Tribe and Onyx goes some. That's what I'm thinking. My thoughts on some other people. Petey is a lot stronger than I expected as a starter player. Rum. What are you doing? That is how you get voted out. All right, I get Asia trying to take it out from under TK. But keep on your weight. It's built on muscle. Asia, just not give up, but just don't try and wrestle him. That could be making an enemy later. I don't know. Looking forward to watching the next episode. See you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Anderson. Good job. Next up, we got an email from Rashmi in Perth, Australia. Hello, Joanne and Stacey and all my Survivor friends. The new season started with a spiel by Jeff about community, which was also very ho-hum. I enjoyed the first challenge, but didn't appreciate all the mud. I couldn't tell the players apart as they all looked like muddy golems. Yeah, they did. True. Yeah, there were some people that completely disappeared under the mud.
I know it. You were like, who is that? Who is that?
That can't be Sierra, or that can't be Genevieve. Also, loved the second part, which wasn't a journey, but more of a scavenger hunt. Don't know why Aisha kept looking for a path and didn't do what TK did. She was playing by the rules. She was following the... He just said, screw the rules, I'm going to the beach where I can hear the ocean. Well, I didn't know what Vine is except for the green kind in my garden, so I went to trusty Mr. Google and got to know that it was a precursor to TikTok. I don't watch that either. I agree with Stacey regarding eating worms. A few seasons ago, a player researched the natural resources that are safe for human consumption. The players are given so much less stuff, which is causing faster and messier physical and mental breakdowns. I do not enjoy watching this. Andy breaking down hits an unpleasant intersection between empathy and annoyance than I've ever felt, and I'm tired of this feeling. It is not entertaining. I'm with you 100% there, Rashmi. Oh, why do we have Andy? We had enough with Bhanu last season. Now we have another whiny child to suck up precious airtime. Rashmi's Going hardcore here. The nested isla approach to the Beware Advantage was a lot of fun. Again, the scavenger hunt part of it was very entertaining. Both Gabe and Rome have opened themselves to some danger. I don't love the idea that we're going to end up with multiple players with idols with different timings. I am sure Paul will keep us informed in that department. By the way, Rome was in the well with half his body in the water. Well, won't that cause hygiene issues for this tribe? Didn't see much of my USB Saul, so all is good there. I think he had all of 7 seconds of confessional time, the least of anyone. I like Annika. John was just meh. I don't know what the hype was all about with him and his podcast. Definitely cannot compare it to our Survivor Fans podcast. Well, thank you, Rashmi. Just keeping my fingers crossed that the second episode is not all about Andy and his breakdown. Looking forward to hearing what everyone else has to say. Thanks, Rashmi. Good job. Yeah, I'm with you. I can't imagine we don't get more Andy, though. Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. So, I totally spaced it on the timing for Jabik. I feel like my Jabik is kind of pointless anyway, because I never listen to interviews. I basically look at the roster when I'm calling in my Jabik. So I don't know how much value it actually has anyway, even for me. But I did put in picks. I did pick a USB. I can't remember who it is. I think it's Tiana. But I did listen to the Jabik part 1 and part 2 before I watched the episode. It took me a few days to get through it because I, worked, blah, blah, blah. But also for the first time, I watched for the first time ever, I've watched an entire episode with my two older kids. I think they're about the age where they're staying up a little bit later and they can kind of follow along. And I had to set some ground rules. Like, first of all, don't talk during the show. If you have questions, we can talk about it later and I'll kind of explain as we go. But they mostly have watched the challenges with me in the past. Like, I'll just kind of go back after the fact and just replay the challenges, and they really like those. But they're starting to kind of get the idea of the strategy and the communication and the social aspects. And it's kind of interesting to watch them kind of guess, especially with this premiere, just because there's a lot of talking and only a little bit of challenge business, a lot of talking into our episode, which I think is too long. For instance, I had to kind of explain how they make it seem like maybe it's going to be Annika, even though we're pretty sure it's going to be either John or Andy, but they just want to add one more piece of the puzzle just to throw you off a little bit. And they were like, you could kind of see their wheels turning. So it's kind of fun to watch them. And we've been doing a lot more complex, I guess you could say, board games and card games and stuff with families. So it's just kind of cool because that's part of the game you don't think about that much when you're so used to it, but looking at it from a fresh angle, kind of fun. I didn't get the vote off. I never saw that coming early on, but I also didn't lose the save point, so that's fine. So far it seems like there's a lot of neuroses this season. It's really diverse, and I feel like maybe it, to a point, pointedly diverse, I should say. But I think that it's also just like a lot of kind of built-in drama. So let's just watch for that. And yeah, no idea what's going to happen. Oh, and also the other thing I realized is when I miss Jabik, I guarantee I'm going to forget to count myself in on a side challenge. So I guess I'm just going to be in my own head again. This has happened before. In my own head, I'm in the side challenge, but yeah, I'll just keep track on my own. Anyway, everyone have a great weekend. Yeah, okay, premiere. Everyone's kind of cuckoo, but we'll see what happens. Talk to you later. Bye.
Awesome. I enjoyed hearing about bringing the older kids in there.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably a lot of potential teachable moments and things that happen there. Observations. Thanks, Drew. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Dejected in Pittsburgh. And I'm just going to talk about the Yellow Tribe, Gada, mainly, and John Lovett. Right now, my feeling is Gada has got to go. I really thought, I think, Stacey, you were the one that said it before, that the blue team was going to be the team that was the most incompetent. But boy, after their first win, Gada really deteriorated quickly. The thing I'm going to say up front, did they make a mistake in voting John out? Maybe not. But I think their reasoning was poor. They kept saying Andy's strength was going to be the thing that they valued, and yet they lost because of the puzzle, not because of the strength. And so we don't know how John would have performed on the puzzle. In fact, I don't think he was that bad strength-wise either. But when Andy started imploding, I just think John was collateral damage. I listened to Pod Save America, and he also has a podcast called Love It or Leave It. He's really good. He's shrewd. He's funny. He would have been a great narrator this season. I felt if he had been there longer, if their team had not gone for the first tribal council, I think he could have made it at least to the merge, because I think this is a guy that's very shrewd. I think his biggest mistake was befriending Andy, or the other way around. And unlike Rachel, who seems to see where the pitfall lies, he should have dropped Andy immediately. I know he said he wanted to go on swinging, but I think he should have dropped Andy, and maybe they would have gone with him. I really think that when they went to the tribal council, they had already decided, even before the outburst with Andy, that it was going to be him leaving. He really didn't fit in. I think he probably was the smartest one on the team, and he, at 41, the oldest, but again, I think if he had been in, say, the blue team like Sue, he might have made it longer. As for Andy, I see him as Bhanu 2.0, and anybody that aligns with him is going to go down in flames. Well, I can see I'm already done with my time. All I can say is Carolyn said, and I don't even know who Carolyn is, in the beginning intro was, she said she's either going to blaze her own path or she's going to burn down the island. Well, baby, that's where I'm at now. I'm going to revenge watch the rest of this season, and every time one of those yellow tribe members gets voted off, I'll be cheering. Talk to you next week when I'm a little more coherent. Bye.
That's plenty coherent. Thanks, David. Enjoyed that. Next up, we got an email from Michelle in Virginia.
Hello, Survivor friends. Occasional feedback participant here. I'm writing because I almost made the blunder of choosing Andy as my USB.
Dodged a bullet.
I first had Gabe, who I'm glad I didn't pick, because even with the idol, I think he'll get voted out as soon as possible. Then I chose Andy. Listener feedback helped me rethink that, so thanks, everyone. I now have Tiana. I'm not sure she'll actually win, but she has a better chance than Andy.
Yes.
I like this cast so far. No one stands out as annoying. So many of them blend in. It's hard to pick a favorite. Surprisingly, I'm finding that I like most of the women, which never happens. Maybe this is the season for an all-girl alliance? I doubt it.
Yeah.
I should have chosen Saul as my USB, not because I think he's going to win, but because my husband was also adopted and also grew up as one of the few Asians in Oklahoma. Saul seems pretty chill and is definitely strong, though that might backfire once they get to the individual immunity challenges. Overall, I feel pretty good about the season. The cast seems mostly good, and I like the tweaks they've made to the game so far. Let's hope it stays positive.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Michelle. Good to hear from you. Up next, we have a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana. I'm recording this extremely early on Saturday morning before I go into work so that I can actually get some feedback in. Because I really enjoyed this premiere, aside from Tribal Council, but I'll get to that later. I thought this was a lot of fun. I mean, everybody always has like high energy and all that in premieres, and it's great. Get to hear from everybody at least once, even though some people I feel like didn't get a confessional. According to the charts, they did. I just don't know who they are. It was a lot of fun. And also with the high energy, we get some terrible gameplay, and it's super funny to watch. So I was having a blast. I thought it was a great time. I know some people were annoyed with all of the boxes and keys in this episode, but I liked it. I liked the idol mechanic, the box within a box within a box. Hilarious. The visual that's now in my head of Rome halfway in the tribe's well. Amazing. And then Gabe dropping his box down the hill. So good. Super funny stuff. And then that also gave us an eye into each tribe that we wouldn't have really got otherwise because they ended up winning immunity. So I thought it was fun. Also, the side quests that Asia and TK went on, not bad, because Sweat and Savvy I'm getting tired of. So it was good to spice that up, bring something else in there. And also, it was fun, I thought. And it also substitutes the journey as well. Kind of kills two birds with one stone. So I'm hoping that the journey stays gone and Sweat and Savvy stays gone. If we just get this in a premiere, okay, I can live with it. But yeah, some really great stuff. And then we get to the challenge. Well, yeah, earlier we got some weird stuff with Andy, and I was like, okay, that's odd. But it was fine. It was whatever. And then we get to the challenge, and it's just So weird, dude. So weird. His just complete self-destruction. And it almost seems like he wanted to get pulled. And I don't think it was heat exhaustion. I mean, a little bit heat exhaustion. I think it was definitely more of a panic attack disguised by heat exhaustion or triggered by heat exhaustion, whatever. Definitely more of a panic attack, which is why he was just word vomiting. Yeah, that was so cringeworthy. That was bad, dude. I feel for the guy, but I think that Rachel was the MVP of this episode to just be like, no, I'm not going down with you. And it looks like John did go down with him, which makes no sense. Having John go instead of Andy, I just scratched my head at that, especially because they won the first challenge. I know they sucked at the physical part, but they won it. And so do you need Andy, especially when he's so unreliable? Do you need this guy? I don't know. That made me mad. And I came in thinking John would go early. But I was through this episode, okay, so he might have some game. And then he just gets voted off. Come on now. So I'm mad Andy's still here, but other than that, I mean, I'm having a good time. Survivor's back. So yeah, that's all I got. I will see you all next time.
Excellent. Yes, Survivor's back. Got that to look forward to. Thanks, Parker. Next up, we got a call from Cameron.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Cameron from North Carolina checking back in. I am so glad to be here for Survivor 47. Let's get right into it. So my USB 24 pick for JSFL this year is Caroline. In the first episode, we didn't see her much, but that could be perfectly okay. People like Marianne, Gabler, Kenzie, the ones who tend to win these days, do not emerge early. They emerge later. They play in the middle very hard, so hopefully Caroline plays that role. It's only the first episode, who's to say what happens, but at least there weren't any red flags in the first episode. I was doing so good in JSFL last season for Survivor 46. Toward the end of the season, I remember I was just very high in the standings, and I was very proud of myself for that. So we get here this season, I'm making my JSFL picks for week 1, and sure enough, I lose a safe point. Stacy, great minds think alike, don't they? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't think John was going week 1. It seemed to me that when you have some sort of personality coming into week 1, just one of them, whether it be a returner or a famous person, they tend to hang around for a little bit. I mean, even Coach Jimmy Johnson hung around for a few episodes on Nicaragua. Nonetheless, I think he posed himself as too big of a threat by just having that success in the outside world. On top of perhaps not being as strong as the rest of the tribe, it came back to bite him when it came time to vote at Tribal Council. People like Charlie last season or Russell Hantz from back in the day have proven that your real-life experience can also greatly affect your trajectory in the game. Charlie himself was going to have a Harvard law degree. Meanwhile, Kenzie was a struggling hairstylist, so it was a no-brainer why the votes went the way they did last season for Final Tribal Council. Similarly for Russell Hantz, the money went to Natalie, not him, when it came out that he was an oil man himself. Similarly, when it comes to voting people out too, I think right out the gate, John established himself as potentially being privileged in the real world. He comes out and says, have y'all listened to my podcast before? Right. And no one really knew about it. But they at least kind of all got the vibe that he could be pretty successful in real life. So, unfortunately for him, it came to his demise. He was not necessarily looking like Johnny Mundo out there either. So when it comes to strength, that could have been a big problem too. Nonetheless, Joanne and Stacy, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to listen to everyone else's thoughts this week. Y'all take care.
And we're glad you're here too. Good job, Cameron. Next up, we got an email from Jack in California. What a way to start this new season. There was quite a few new twists that got introduced and some craziness at the first immunity challenge. Survivor's all about building a community with different people from all walks of life, and I do think this is why this show is so interesting and has been on for as long as it has, with more seasons along the way. I think the new second opportunity to earn camp supplies was actually better than Sweat versus Savvy task, in that only one other tribe can start out with supplies while looking for landmarks to locate keys and open up the chest. TK was quite impressive on this, leading to doing things his own way and going off the path to get back to the starting point and winning the supplies. The new introduction to the Beware Advantage and how to get the idol was different and a unique way to see how both Gabe and Rome went about getting it. I don't know what I would have done if given the opportunity to increase the idol power to extend it or not. If I was smart and strategic enough, I might have risked it to get more of an advantage, but that is only if I feel sneaky enough. Rome could have been a lot more careful on this, and I think he may be in trouble once that tribe goes to tribal council If Aisha has anything to do with it, he will be. Yeah. What a mess of a challenge that was for everything going on. Boats tipping over with the chest not balanced right. Andy's mental breakdown and confession to everyone about where he stands and what he was going to do. It was just a mess. It was most likely the editing, but Lavo seemed to get the puzzle down in just a few minutes. That was a really uneven edit. And for when we've seen them where they've got all the cameras and the drones and they've got all these shots, and then we get that choppy mess just so that we can speed ahead to Andy's breakdown. And it just wasn't clear in the timing.
It was chopped up.
Yeah. Timing really, they bungled that for some reason. They decided on a different priority. I guess it just...
In our humble opinion.
In my not so humble opinion, yeah. Okay. There were quite a few things that were going on with John that, if he lasted longer, could have worked in his favor. One of them is that he knows how to sell himself and that he talks like a politician right in the early going. That could have also contributed to his downfall later on if he lasted longer. However, with what was shown, I think Andy should have been the one voted out, not John. He was a good sport about it, though, and was laughing to himself on the way out. If Gata loses again, I think it would be Andy. But if it is Lavo, I think Rome could be in trouble. Thanks, Jack. Yeah, enjoyed your analysis there. That could certainly go that way. Next up, we got a call from Kim.
Hi again, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. I haven't listened to Jabik yet, but I'm going to squeeze that in soon. I thought it was a good episode for Rachel and Kyle and Sue. She looked really strong. And TK because he beat Aisha. And I also had a favorable impression of Caroline and Sierra compared to my first impression. The footage of Andy falling apart made me very uncomfortable. It made me think Bhanu too, where somebody's just falling apart and Jeff really gets into it and then has some big epiphany to teach us things when it's over. As far as the people I think I'm going to like watching this season, I would say Rachel. I really think I'm going to like Kyle. I think I'm going to like Sue, and that surprised me just a little bit. Yeah. Also, Saul and Tiana. I was thinking that Gabe had a good episode/bad episode because he wasn't sneaky enough, but he does have an idol, and that's always a good thing if you can manage to use it correctly. The last thing is, I picked Teeny as my USB, which I probably would not have done had I listened to Jabik after hearing what Stacy said, but I don't want to trash talk, but I'm just going to say I did get 4 points this week. I know it's just 1 week, but it's going to be fun to see what happens. I look forward to everybody's feedback. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy. Take care.
Good job, Kim.
I understand your reluctance to play boldly out of the gate with the first vote. We know that has bit you in the past. I do recall that, Kim. So I fully understand. Good on you, though, for your points. Next up, we got a call from Justin.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and all the Survivor Superfans. It's Justin from Michigan. So I'd say this was a solid premiere. Wasn't my favorite, wasn't the worst. But, I mean, a lot of it, at least towards the end, revolved around Andy and his meltdown. And it comes to show Survivor's trying to find these people who are trying to find themselves. And they're trying to test themselves. And I don't think that's the way to go. I'm the same age as Andy. I've been married for 10 years. I have 3 kids. I know who I am. Cast me, all right? I'm a big guy. I'm a physical threat. Put me in. Maybe I'm not going to be the best TV, but I'm not going to go out there just to find myself or to make friends or to feel like I fit in. I don't need to fit in. I have a life outside of Survivor, but I want the chance to play. And that's what we want, I think. We don't want people who are out there, oh, wow, good for this guy. He's going out there testing himself. No, we want guys that are playing Survivor that we can root for or root against. All right? We don't need people to go to therapy on the island. So, I don't know. I don't want to rant too much about this, but it just was really cringy to me, the way it came off. They're cheering for John. They're not cheering for me. What the heck? What is that? Like... Do something about it. Go find an idol. Go conspire against somebody. Do something. You have the agency. It's a full game. You have a full tribe of people. They don't all hate you. That's all in your head. And that's where the psychovals should come in and say, okay, this guy's too insecure to play this game. He's going to be a mess. And I guess that's probably what they want. But it's not entertaining. It's cringy. I just want him off the screen. I wanted him to go home. I never thought I'd be rooting for John Lovett, but at the Tribal Council, I was rooting for John. I wanted John to stay. He's more entertaining. He's going to bring more to the game, I think, socially and strategically. Andy is dead weight now. Maybe he'll help in the challenges, maybe not. But that tribe is going to be a mess. So we found our hot mess tribe already. But other than that, USB Kyle, under the radar, that's fine for now. As we get closer to the merge, he's going to need to make some moves, but doesn't need to do much now. And stock up on Sue. Thought she formed relationships well. Rome, obviously, scrambling too hard. So biggest takeaway, Survivor, stop casting people like Andy. Cast me instead. All right. Thanks, guys.
Mm-hmm. I'm all for that. I think you should take this energy, take that, and put it into your application video if you haven't already. I think that was perfect. Do that.
All right.
And I would love to cheer for you in the game. And I'm same as Justin. I reluctantly found myself cheering that John would hang on.
Yeah,
and didn't see that coming because I just didn't think he had a lot to offer. But I definitely wanted him over Andy when push came to shove.
Well, we didn't get his sense of humor in the beginning either.
No.
We thought it was flaky or something, but then it's like, no, he's doing that deliberately. And so, that changed our opinion, or my opinion.
Well, it's when I saw that abject panic in Andy's eyes, I thought, I don't want this on.
Yeah, no.
That's not what I want, to watch someone go through that and that almost delirium look that he had.
No, and John was actually playing.
Yes, he was lucid and trying. It's just what he was saying was
he
that
is here to play.
Sierra and Sam had paired off, and Andy and him and Andy and Rachel had, and Annika was kind of on the outs of things. That's why her name had potentially come up, although...
I did like that Annika told Andy, that's all in your head.
Yes.
That when he said, nobody likes me, and she's like, that's all in your head.
Yeah, she gave a boss lady, get
just
straight.
Right there.
Here's your mat chat. Get right so that we can get back to winning. Good stuff. Thanks, Justin. I'm serious about your application there. Take that energy, man. Next up, we got an email from Lisa Rae in UAE.
I'm absolutely late in getting in my feedback, so I'll keep this short and sweet. For the JSFL, I chose my winner pick, but did not select safe players or the vote out.
She focused on when you emphasized, remember to hit submit for your USB. Did that and was done.
It's an auspicious beginning to this season.
That's how you ended up in the basement with me, huh? Okay.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Lisa Rae.
Yeah, good luck. I hope you are able to turn that around.
And you as well, or you'll be in the basement. She can turn it around. You be in the basement by yourself.
That's a possibility also.
Okay. All right. Next up, we got a call from Jade-n-Christine.
Hi, Joanna and Stacey. This is Jade.
And Christine.
From Hawaii.
Aloha.
We just watched the show, and it's Friday night, and we want to get our feedback in before anything else. So we're here with some highs and lows of episode 1.
Yes.
So first off, we love Tiana. Mm-hmm. And in case anybody is curious, she is from Aiea. Aiea, that's how you say it.
Okay.
And there's this really good place called Aiea Bowl. It is a bowling alley, but they have the best lemon crunch cake.
Yes, very odd that they have lemon crunch cake and a bowling alley. But it is fantastic. If you're ever in Aiea, please stop by Aiea Bowl and get yourself some crunch cake. Okay, so so she's my USB. I'm definitely rooting for her, and
that was a good choice.
It was,
despite her team completely capsizing.
Oh my gosh, we were cracking up. I could not stop laughing. It happened, and then it happened a second time. It was just crazy. Both of those teams that were just they just couldn't get it together.
I don't know what happened there. But we enjoyed that. That was funny. Yeah, I also enjoyed some of the new stuff they threw in there, like the versus challenge instead of the sweat versus savvy, and the box within a box within a box. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, like the Russian doll.
The Russian doll, yeah, but there were some lows. So Andy is my USB, and 100% regretting that right now. now. I should have gone with Tiana.
Yeah.
Who was another option, white girl, but oh well. Yeah. No, I'm just waiting until merge so I can choose a new person.
Yeah. And I really like John too.
Yeah, I enjoyed him.
I mean, if he had stayed longer, it would have been such a good narrator.
Yeah.
And I think he would have added a lot to the game, but...
Yeah, his podcasts are good. Listen to his podcasts.
Yeah, we can support him that way.
Yeah.
Oh,
but Rome.
Yeah.
Dunking his whole body into the drinking water. Come on, man.
Such a gross out moment. But, you can't blame him. You have to actually blame production, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Putting it at the bottom of the well.
He's got to get the key. But, yeah, that was...
gross.
Yeah, hopefully they boil it before they drink it. Okay, what do you think is going to happen next episode?
Oh, I think the yellow tribe is still going to lose. I mean, they don't have their flint now.
Yeah.
And the morale is going to be pretty low. And even though they have Andy as muscle, I mean, who knows? He might just
emotionally fragile.
Yeah, just...
He cannot.
A little tiny vulnerable boy in there.
Yeah, it is sad. Oh. Yeah, I think they'll probably lose too. I think Annika might go because Rachel can use Andy because she's like really close with him. So if they want to get like the leader out, they could get Annika out.
Yeah, they could definitely leverage that.
Yeah, who knows? We'll enjoy it either way.
Yes, and I have to say, Jeff's fillers. That's another thing I was laughing at.
The top lip looked a little like
it's a little puffy.
You need to let that work rest for a little bit.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joanne and Stacey.
Bye.
Wow, I didn't pick up on that. I mean, we talked about his face looked a little off, but so they're saying he had some cosmetic surgery just before he went out, huh? The fillers. I have to go back and look at that. Yeah, has he got the duck lips too? Thanks, Jade-n-Christine. Now we want crunch cake.
I know. I love
I don't know what that is, but it sounds good. Yeah.
No.
Crunch cake. I guess I just like the alliteration.
Well, and I didn't eat, so I'm hungry. So.
Yeah. Good deal. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Survivor friends. Jeremiah here with some feedback for our first episode of season 47. And I thought it was a really good episode. I feel like a lot of people are saying that. I know I said this last season, but I really love having 2 hours for our premiere. It gives them a chance to really set some storylines and help us get to know the players a little bit better. And I really enjoy that. And then just, stick with 90 minutes for the rest of the season. I think 2 hours, though, works good for the premiere and obviously for the finale as well. The episode did seem to have a big focus on these players that were going after the aware advantage for the idol, which I did find entertaining. I think we all clocked that Gabe was going to be a very aggressive player, so I wasn't surprised at all to see him do what he was doing, and the same thing with Rome. Now, the problem with Rome, though, is he's a bit of a disaster, I feel like. I know next time on Survivor, you get to hear someone talk about how he's a lot to deal with. Well, I had that impression with him when I was going through all the bios and stuff and listening to all the interviews. I had that exact impression of him thinking, oh boy, this guy's going to be too much to deal with. I wanted to vote him off the island and I wasn't even playing. I'm sure he's a super nice guy, but to play with him and be out there with him 24 hours a day, 7 days, woo, no thank you. So clearly, I think he's in a lot of trouble on his tribe. On the blue tribe, it seems like outside of all the stuff with Gabe, still not exactly for sure who is aligned with who and who's in trouble on that tribe. So that will be something to clock for a while. But I think that they're going to be a pretty good tribe. So I might not see them go to tribal council for a while. For the red tribe, outside of Rome, obviously Asia looks pretty good. And one of my surprises, I thought, what came from the red tribe, I thought Teeny looks much better than I originally expected for her to play. I think she might go far in the game. And then we have the yellow tribe, which I know many of us thought that tribe might be our disaster tribe, and it certainly looks like it might be that, heading in that direction, unfortunately. Wow. The John thing, not too surprised about. I personally probably would have taken out John. I know Andy's a wild card. I'm going to talk about him in a second here, but, I don't know. It's hard to say. But the Andy thing was a huge surprise to me. I was not expecting that. Once again, he's another example of it doesn't matter how big of a fan you are, you never know for sure if that person is mentally prepared to be out there. And that's really what it came down to. He just was not mentally prepared to play the game of Survivor. So obviously he's probably my pick to go home next week. And yeah, that's it for me. Really good episode. I can't wait to see what else happens. And until next time, this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Good job. Good summary. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the plush moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, I'm bummed by the result, but this episode was a really solid start to the season. Here's my other observations. Sam plays baseball and does theater. His favorite play is Damn Yankees. Kyle grew up in 26 foster homes, so a tribe swap would be old hat to him. That's like cruel and funny at the same time. Oh, it's got some bite there. John's friends and family wanted him to suffer, so the Survivor gods made him the first boot. Every season starts the same, dumb players searching alone or acting sketchy. Let it be known far and wide, Jeff didn't dress teeny funny. During the marooning, Andy gave me young Howie Mandel doing stand-up vibes. John twirled the rope like a lasso, but he couldn't cowboy up. Pilot Sue carrying the puzzle piece looked like she was flying a hang glider. I think I prefer baptism with holy water to baptism by mud. Andy is a numbers guy, so was Brad Culpepper. Oh, that's a great bad numbers reference to mix in. Given how many players like to climb rocks, casting ER Doc Kishan was smart. TK looks like an NFL player. Is that why he tackled Aisha in the water? Everyone wants Teeny. That sounds like the title of a sitcom. TK and Aisha got lost in the woods. Jeff should give out GPSs as reward. Annika could be a trendy chef in LA. She might earn more there than she will in Survivor. Aisha should know better. Volunteering for a journey is one of the classic blunders. Sam is a glue guy. He wants to be stuck in the swing vote position. Gabe's hasty mistakes caused a box avalanche. Oh, that's good. I love that. That was... Yeah, you got to go back and watch that if you haven't. That was so funny. His poor, just horrible job at trying to hide that box up on the side of a hill. He took like 2 steps away from it, and gravity took over, and the box beat him back down the hill. Rome's into video games. That must be why he plays like he has extra lives. John, the oldest on Gata, was forced into early retirement. Nobody cheers for me while I write feedback. That's why I punish everyone.
Pun-ish.
Yeah, with dad jokes. That's great. I love that. Really like the way they used disappearing ink for the beware clue. That was awesome. Foreshadowing, John was shown in close-up when Jeff talked about the first boot. Yeah, we saw that when we were watching the second time, didn't we? We went back and looked and went, oh, well, that's interesting. Gata might have done better with their boat if one of Sierra's jobs was stevedore. Okay. The women told John he was a decoy. He was more like a dead duck. If Andy's a strategist, I'm a pony. John wanted one glorious and perfect episode. He batted 500. Annika's not a leader. She just knows what everyone else should be doing. Stacy called the mud pit a birth canal. The players wanted a C-section of the rope net. Oh, that's a way to riff on that. Gabe's beware idol box is a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma. When your recap covered Andy's meltdown, I expected Joanne to say, bless his heart. I've made phrases to remember the tribe names. The floor is lavo, tuku for Cocoa Puffs, Inagata Davida. That's good. I might even remember those. John's interview with EW hints that he'll see more Gatas at Ponderosa before the merge. Yeah, I wasn't sure that's what he was saying, but it certainly could be the case. Sue is a slightly better lookout than Bluto was in Animal House. John's podcast is called Love It or Leave It. Gata chose the latter. Travelocity had the roaming gnome. Lavo has the roaming Rome. Some folks are confused by John being the first boot after being featured so heavily in the preseason. Will episode 2 begin with John on Redemption Extinction Island? Next time, Andy's a toxic, clingy boyfriend. Rome is a lot. Tuku are losers, and Andy drops a bomb. Is it that Andy is a bomb? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanna and Stacy, for all you do. Can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh. Good job. Thanks for the punishment. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California, and here are my thoughts on Survivor 47, Episode 1. The initial challenge was good, and that mud is birthing you into Survivor comment that Jeff made as they literally look like they're being born from the muddy nets. Good one, Jeff. On Gatu, Sam is definitely the strong one, and John wasn't half bad either. What is it with the curse of being the yellow tribe? It's like if there is a yellow or a purple tribe on a season, they are always terrible. I didn't expect the yellow tribe to win the first challenge, but they definitely met my expectations by losing the immunity challenge. Way to go, Gatu. Thanks for keeping the purple and yellow tribe curse alive. On the blue tribe, Sue is in a good spot, and Caroline and Gabe did a good job bonding with her. Teeny has an interesting way about her. She's a good narrator. And Genevieve is beautiful. I did not get that from her photo. I liked the journey challenge. It was unlike anything I've seen before, or at least unlike anything I remember, so it's very cool. Asia's comment about her loss putting a target on her back was spot on. As a podcaster, she should have known not to go on the journey. I'm sure she's talked about it hundreds of times, but it doesn't appear to have hurt her. I guess we'll see. Gabe flubbing the wear advantage was cringy. After seeing all of the scenes of him just being so clumsy about it, I came away feeling like he's like one of the Three Stooges. But having said that, I like the beware advantage challenges. I think that having to work to make the idol more powerful is a great twist. We got to see a lot of camp life, and I loved watching everyone making all these positive connections with others and then confessing that they don't trust the very people that they're schmoozing. Very funny. On the red tribe, Rome is not making a very good first impression by separating himself from the tribe. And on to the immunity challenge. What a train wreck. I looked at those boats and knew that they would never hold all the players and 3 large chests, and I was correct for 2 out of 3 tribes, so I was not surprised when the boats tipped over. And kudos to Lavo for making it to shore without capsizing. Lavo just ran away with the challenge. It wasn't even close, and Saul was an MVP for Lavo. He is very strong. And after seeing Andy at the immunity challenge, Andy has to go. He is definitely not what I expected. He's an emotional wreck. I didn't understand why even in his state that he would make such a confession right in front of the whole group. That was not fun to watch. Life coach Jeff showed up to the first tribal council of the season, and he tried to have a coaching session with Andy. My final thoughts are regarding Andy's meltdown. I have so much compassion for him and what he is going through, but at the same time, I'm angry with casting. They do extensive psychological screening of the contestants, and where in the past, Jeff has said that it serves to make sure that the players are mentally strong enough to endure the hardships, I feel like they're sending some people out there to play who are very ill-equipped to tolerate the hardships in order to deliver these TV moments. Yes. And that kind of sickens me. I love this show so much, but I don't love the irresponsible casting. I'm not entertained by seeing someone or multiple people have psychological breaks. I'll just leave it there, but I came away from the premiere with not a good feeling. I think the losers of the week are Rome, Gabe, and Andy, but I think the winners of the week are Sue, good for her for bonding well with the young people, and Saul for his awesome performance on the immunity challenge. That's it for me till next week.
Thanks, Jen. I agree with a lot of that. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Okay, Paul, Louisiana here. And it was a good first episode with some extreme drama that we'll get into later. First, though, am I out of the loop or something? Because I'm confused as to where all of that bamboo came from at each of the tribes. Are they provided pre-cut? Because Lavu was shown after the first challenge with an incredible amount of it. And then Gata as well. I mean, that's a lot of bamboo. And as for the first challenge, I love the fact that everyone was running back and forth so deeply into all of the trees, the forest, the woods, the jungle, whatever. But the mud that Jeff loves so much had me confused as to who we were looking at some of the time. I was thrilled that I was able to name everyone as they were introduced on camera. But when the mud hit their faces, it wasn't that easy anymore. And as for our cast, I have to say that I was actually impressed with Sue's performance in the challenges. Perhaps there's more to her than I thought. Saul, well, he just flat out impressed me all around, and he's going to be a powerhouse for sure. But Rome, well, there's another player whose game has sort of imploded. I mean, who just walks away from everyone when you've been caught idol hunting? I mean, weren't they even calling his name? I meant to rewatch that. And Annika, she seems fine to me. She's not the Venus clone that I suspected she'd be. Okay, so here we go. In my Jabik, I said that I was going to pick Andy as my USB. But in the end, I just couldn't do it, and I went with Caroline instead. Talk about dodging a bullet, huh? Yeah, I don't understand how the Bhanus and the Andys make it past the screening process and end up on the show. I also can't understand how his tribe didn't vote him out. I honestly don't believe that John did anything wrong, and his first-off status shouldn't be embarrassing to him. He had a player on his tribe who was ill-equipped to play, and John was taken out due to all of the chaos that Andy created. I think that people are actually afraid to vote off Andy because it would look like they were attacking someone who couldn't defend themselves. And I do believe that keeping Andy around was a big mistake. I've rewatched what I've been calling his panic attack numerous times now, and it looks like he was fine, even as he sat down, and even when he laid back on the ground. It wasn't until Jeff went over to him that he started acting as though he needed to be taken out medically from the game. I feel sorry for him, but he shouldn't have been there. And he still shouldn't be there. I'm just hoping that he isn't responsible for anyone else leaving before he goes, because he isn't going to bring anything for his tribe. He's going to keep dragging them down the longer they keep him around. So I predict that Gata will lose again in the next challenge and head back to Tribal, where hopefully that tribe will right a wrong and vote out Andy. If they keep him again, I just feel they're destined to be decimated. And I guess that's it for me. Bye.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, Probst did talk about that process where he went over and evaluated Andy, and then he had the doctor evaluate him, and then he was absolutely positive that physically, at least medically, Andy was fine and just needed to gather himself up. And
well, he didn't cut him too much slack with what he was saying, you know.
Right.
And I think he would have if he thought he was seriously ill.
Yeah. Yes. And Probst was complimenting the staff and knew that he had all these teams, ready to cover different areas. So he was he was fine. He had no idea what was going to happen. Obviously, he said, all that. So.
It's like, but I'm not letting you quit. You're still in this game.
Yeah.
You have not been voted out, and we're going to tribal.
It was a little bit of that tough Probst pep talk, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I hope we get more of that.
Your tribe did lose, but you're not out of this game yet, and we're going to tribal, kid.
Yeah. A lot of people are thinking the next time on Survivor reference that Sam made was because Andy finds the idol. But it could be because he further patterns Bhanu, ends up going on the journey, and then blurts something out to the other tribe, just like Bhanu did. That's a possibility, too. That fits the description of bomb that Sam gave.
He would regurgitate any information.
It does feel like he would do that, right? That he's so
absolutely
incompetent, incoherent in the context of being able to play the game that he would do that.
Well, not even so much that. He would just want to make a friend.
Yes.
He would need the attention, I think.
It does seem that he's in an emotionally similar space to where Bhanu was when he went on that journey, I think in the second episode, and
his
blurted
tribe
all the
doesn't
secrets
like him,
out.
and he's on the bottom, and
Right.
he wants somebody else to like him.
And you could like me, yes, to the two people that go on the journey with him.
Anyway.
Yep, these are possibilities too. I won't be surprised if they go, and I won't be surprised if they use him as the smoke screen, and Annika ends up going. So that's a possibility too, that he could make it another round, since he does not represent a threat to win at all. There's just the chances of him coming off well, making it all the way to the end, are so low that he's just become this easily disposable element in the game after you go after bigger threats.
All righty, moving on from Andy.
Do you have any predictions for who's going next? What are your thoughts? Yeah. It's best to hope. Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, big thanks to everybody who took the time to share your thoughts and predictions, checking in on the listener feedback today. We enjoyed it, had a blast. You made us laugh, made us think. We appreciate hearing from all of you. We'd also like to thank David for your donation. Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate that. That goes towards our operating cost, and that's a big help. Thank you, David.
If you play in JSFL, don't forget to make your Week 2 picks.
Unless you're Lisa Rae.
For one person voted off and 4 people who are still safe at the end of the episode. So that would be a good reminder for me, too. Maybe I'll go do that right now and put something in.
Well, sure. Just go lock Andy in as the vote out at least.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Because she's got nothing to roll forward. She's really put something in there.
Yes.
Do it now.
Don't risk being eliminated from the fantasy league.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to the 90-minute episode on Wednesday, and we'll be back with our next recap.
Happy fall.
Have a good one.